Why is Eric Hosmer on the Cubs?
Not for bases loaded situations.
What if I had
what if I had
an answer to that? What if I had an answer to Eric Hosmer being on the Cubs?
Hey,
Would you all be interested in it?
What's your answer to Eric Hosmer?
It's not my answer. It's Carter Hawkins's.
Obviously, you've heard, and it's true, his ability to have a presence in our clubhouse, a leadership voice, just the experiences that he's had, being on great teams, World Series teams, his ability to help out, a guy like Matt Mervis and kind of help him learn the ropes is definitely something that is noted and we think that is important. At the same time, he's got ability to pinch hit late in games, ability to play good defense, ability to get sparks against guys are good matchups for him. Some of the runners in scoring position things haven't worked out, but unfortunately right now you can say that for a decent amount of our guys, and so he's in that group of let's try to really get this approach going in the right way so that we can start stringing those hits together and get some more runs. So we're really excited about having Eric, and definitely just we'll take it day to day with him and trying to make sure we can find best ways to utilize him in our lineup.
A little Freudian slip there at the end. We're excited to have Eric.
That is a legit Freudian slip too. That is. And the list of ability to have a presence in our clubhouse. If we make that list of other people or things that have an ability, the ability is having a presence in the clubhouse. A chair?
No.
A lamp? Right?
I like lamp.
A
I love lamp.
A potted plant, a lovely ficus tree, perhaps, if you can get enough sun.
I love lamp.
Are you just saying you love things? Or...
No, I love lamp.
So Rick,
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Eric Hosmer in 2021.
I love lamp.
In 151 games, was a negative 5.5 base running runs above average, negative 3.6 offensive base running runs above average, or offensive runs above average, and negative 9.7 defensive runs above average. This year for the Cubs, he has a weighted runs created plus of 74. He's already a negative 0.7 in base running, a negative 3.8 on offense, and a negative 2.2 on defense for a negative 0.3 wins above replacement.
What do you have the bases loaded numbers for this season in front of you? Do you have those? I think by himself he stranded like 6 runners or something outrageous last night.
So here's what I think is interesting about Hosmer and Mervis and them bringing up Morel.
He left 6 runners on base last night. I'm sorry.
And Morel hit a home run, which was nice. What I think is interesting is something. It was Studs. Shout out to Studs. Studs. I said, Studs, could you send me all of the Jed Hoyer when they called up Mervis because I wanted to listen to it. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I'm sitting there listening to it, and there was a chunk, and I put it in my column for today's Sun Times that I think is really interesting that Jed said. He said about calling up Mervis, the goal here is to impact winning. And so I feel like I'm looking at a Cubs team that is looking at the rest of the division and goes, hey, man, we got an opportunity, so why not take the guys that are doing well in the AAA and considering that you have a couple of veterans. Mancini's come around a little bit, but Eric Hosmer has not, that you can take an opportunity to take a chance to say, well, let's get Mervis at bats. Let's see what he's like after he gets 50, 100 major league at bats. If what we saw in Iowa actually translates to what he is. I understand the idea of having a Hosmer type in your clubhouse and maybe actually Hosmer.
But isn't that Mancini?
Well, it could be, although Hosmer is probably a little bit more connected to the winning in Kansas City than what Mancini was after being traded. You know what I mean? Like there might be more. And Danny has told stories about how the Royals used to have Hosmer and Sal, Big Sal. They were the 2 leaders of the Royals team. And it helped because Hosmer's a fluent Spanish speaker and he was able to kind of connect some tissue inside the clubhouse. So maybe he's got some of that stuff that you need. That doesn't mean that he has to have at bats. He can play the same type of role on this team that Rossi played on the 16 team.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when we need you, but otherwise just be the professional and help guys be professional.
I appreciate having welcome presences in clubhouses, but sometimes I think we complicate this too much too.
Sure. Hit the ball.
Ian Happ has talked about Eric Hosmer, like you mentioned him specifically, and I get that. I appreciate it. Ian Happ, though, is also a veteran. Like, you've got enough veterans on this team.
He's kind of turned into a leader himself now.
There's not even a doubt in my mind, kind of. Like, he has. He's got enough years. He just got an extension. That should give him some comfort in that. There's enough people on that team to where something shouldn't be so fragile as to where the goal of the team is still winning, where you can't say, this is somebody who everybody in that room knows what he's physically bringing right now. People know what his numbers were last year in San Diego after the month of April. It's okay to say, you're still getting paid millions of dollars by a baseball team. We're going to pay you 700,000 some odd, and you can take him out. Like, that should be okay. And at the very least, you should put him higher up or lower down in the lineup and have Morel hit higher up.
Well, when they signed Hosmer, wasn't everyone looking at it as he's a placeholder?
Or they were trying to platoon Mancini and Hosmer at first. That was my thought on it.
I kind of looked at him and said, he's just here until Mervis is ready. Like, that's how I looked at it.
That's what I thought too, but he's still here.
And maybe Mervis isn't ready yet. Like, this is
right.
what all of this is about. But I do think that he should be de-emphasized as an offensive threat. And I don't see any reason why. I want those at-bats to go to Morel or to Mervis.
Now, listen, there's a lot of people in that group who are responsible for those poor numbers. Like, they've lost 9 of their last 12. They were running 1-7 with runners in scoring position. They left 9 on last night total. But the top of the lineup didn't do anybody any favors either. Either way, like, this has been consistent. And when you have rallies that are killed by somebody, and it's happened multiple times in a week now with the bases loaded with 1 outs or 2 outs, that's a problem.
We heard from Carter Hawkins on why Hosmer is here. We asked the same question of one of our baseball experts, Cody Decker.
Not a thing against Eric Hosmer. If you're going to keep one of the two, I would keep my hands on Mancini, bring up Mervis. That's your left-handed and right-handed bat. Eric Hosmer is not going to do anything for this baseball team. I do not comprehend why we're doing this at all. There's no Super 2 situation currently happening. Matt Mervis is killing it down there, and you're currently DHing and batting Eric Hosmer 7th or 8th every day. He's not a very good defensive first baseman. He is not a very good offensive first baseman. He's down the bottom of the league in about every offensive category as far as advanced metrics goes. And that's what he's been doing for the last 4 years. Nothing against him as a guy. I wish him the very best. But at the end of the day, you have better options in the minor leagues than your big league first baseman. And the major league depth argument makes no sense if your major league depth isn't very good.
I completely agree with what Deck had to say there. And I also think that it matters what it is you're trying to accomplish this season. That's why I thought that quote was so interesting. Like, if the idea, the goal here is to impact winning, if that's what you're on, you need to have better players. And it's probable that Mervis is a better player right now than Eric Hosmer is. Mm-hmm. So why not give him the at-bats?
He's also not some babe in the woods. When they say, well, he needs seasoning, he seems like he's pretty well put together as a young man.
He might be, but the failure at the major league level, when you haven't had to deal with a lot of failure, like that could, even the best, most mature kids will. I mean, look, Ian. Yep. Ian had this issue back in 2019. Was it 2019 or 2017 when they sent him down?
I think it was 17, I believe. Yeah.
When they sent him down, and he's one of the smartest and most mature people that you would meet inside of baseball, and he struggled and had to figure it out. So I don't want to say that Mervis is already ready to handle the failure of what it's like to be counted on at the major league level and then fail.
Just put Hosmer lower in the lineup and use your bench if it's not working. Isn't that what it's there for?
I say that he doesn't play. To me, Mervis plays.
If you have to, they were both in the lineup last night. If you have to have Hosmer in the lineup and it comes at somebody else's expense, then just use him differently. You've seen enough in the past week to say this isn't a good situation right now.
So you've seen enough over the whole season so far to go, that's a guy that you're asking him very specific matchups to come and be a part of.
And what's equally frustrating is putting somebody in a position where they're receiving such criticism, because it's not just us.
Right.
And he's earned the respect of a lot of people in this game.